sometimes the old is so much better. You know, I was listening to old music today, you know, old songs. And my granddaughter was still there with me. And, you know, I was singing. It's up loud. And I'm singing and I'm just having a good time, you know, because he's an on-time God. That's what I was listening to. I'm like, you know, they say the words that he's an on-time God, but I don't know if you know how on-time he can be until you've gone through. Are you sure you're on the right road to heaven? Now, I know, right? You see that? Are you sure? Are you on the right road? And your mind is like, isn't there only one road? Well, that's why you have to make sure it's the right road. Because there is only one road. And we all know the scripture, enter ye in at the strait gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate and narrow is the way which leads unto life, and few that be that find it. Well, when I read that, it sounds simple enough, right? Narrow, little bit of people. Wide, lots of people. So if it's narrow and a little bit of people, that should be the right way. And if it's a lot of people, wrong way. So it seems like it should be simple enough, but the scripture says there is a way that seems right unto a man. But the end thereof are the ways of death. Are you on the right road to heaven? See, we view the road our way. We come from our hardships to a God who promises us good things. So we view the road like this. Charity? So we view the road like this. Smooth, uphill, and beautiful. May have a few twists, but smooth and beautiful. And the road to hell we view like this. Having huge ditches to swallow us up in despair, and crashing waves to destroy us by casting us into the sea where we would be consumed. That's a nice picture. Scary, but fascinating. That's kind of dangerous, right? Fascinating. That's where we came from. We came from the roads of potholes and ditches, and that's why we were seeking a better road. But the reality is the road of heaven looks like this. Heaven or hell? Driving down the road of life, and you become aware of heaven and hell, you now must make a choice and choose the right direction. If there was no road sign, you might follow the path that is uphill and smooth and scenic in comparison to the other, right? So the one that says to hell is all uphill, it's smooth, it got a nice little scenic, in the middle, flowers. And the road to heaven is windy and up and down, potholes. And so I might think that the signs are not right, because it should be smooth sailing. Simply because you're on one road or the other does not seal your fate. See, both of these roads have exits. So now we should not go back and forth between the two roads, because you could have a fatal accident on the road to hell, and then guess where you'd end up? If your destination is heaven, and I bolded that word, if your destination of heaven, I'm making the assumption that everyone here wants to go to heaven, wants to see Yah one day face to face. Right? So at some point, we were all on the road to hell. Some of us didn't even know it. Because there really are only two roads. One to heaven and one to hell. And while we were on that road to hell, we took an exit and found ourselves on the highway to heaven. Now, don't be fooled simply because you got onto the highway of heaven, for there are exits on that highway as well. Now, don't confuse a rest stop with an exit. Sometimes when you pull off to the rest stop, you didn't leave the highway. You just pulled off and you're taking a rest. You haven't diverted from your destination. So don't confuse a rest stop with an exit. Now, as we're driving on these highways, and we're going to focus, of course, on the highway to heaven, and we come across an exit, I want to explain what an exit is. Y'all know what an exit is, of course, to go off into another. The exit itself isn't a highway. It's not neither here nor there. It's a connector that will connect me from one road to another. So the exit itself isn't another road. It can take me to someplace different. So as I was doing this, I was thinking of what we really need to do is get the vision of our destination. And of course, what came to my mind was the Emerald City and the Wizard of Oz. See, they were traveling the yellow brick road and, going through lots of different stuff, but they had to stay on the yellow brick road. But they had in mind a destination, but something happened when they actually saw the city. They got all excited, started running, and that's when they fell asleep. Right? And then they had to be woken up. But they saw it, and when they caught the glimpse of their destination, within view, they got fired up. Energy. They had been traveling and weary and going through different things, but when they caught a glimpse of their destination, we have to have a glimpse of our destination and know where we're going. Now, interestingly, the way roads are done, there's more than one way to get to your destination. Right? People come, I can go the same place with 3 of my sons, and we'll go 3 different ways. And it's fascinating. Do you know where you are, Mom? No, I've never been this way before. But we're all going to the mall. William will take me one way. Danny will take me some other way. Jesse will drive another way. But they all pick me up at my house. So the destination, we start from the same destination and go different ways to get to the mall or to the grocery store, or wherever. So there's usually multiple ways to get somewhere. That's the scripture in Proverbs that I read. See, there's a way that seems right to a man, but the ways thereof are the ways of death. So you have a way, I have a way, you have a way. So we have a way, our own way. But all those ways or the ways of death. Because there's only one way to get to glory, to get to heaven, to get to Yahweh's place. Only one way. But on this road of straight and narrow, there are a lot of exits. Now, some exits are clearly marked. You usually veer off, usually to the right, sometimes to the left. I don't like them ones because they're not normal. But some of those exits go straight. And in order to stay on the road, you have to veer left or right. Now, those exits are tricky. You know, it's like you're driving straight, and then you're somewhere else. You took an exit. So now what are these exits, spiritually speaking, of course? These exits off the road going to heaven, which are taking us somewhere else, are our distractions, are our sins, are our whatever. They're taking us off the pathway, the highway to heaven. So they're our detours, you know, getting us. So when I get caught up in something in my flesh, angry or into some sin, or I've taken an exit. Now, I don't have to get on the highway to hell. Because you can take another exit and get back on the highway to heaven. You don't have to go all the way through and get onto the highway to hell. I want to focus in Isaiah 35 and look at verses 4 through 10 as we talk about highways. Before I do that, now on the highway, there's also the side of the road. You know, you're not on the highway, you know, where you'll see stuff on the side of the road. And as we go through this Isaiah, you will see about beasts and things. They're on the side of the road. There's also, now I'll save that for later. Isaiah 35, 4 through 10. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Yah with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as a hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where they lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransomed of Yahweh shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Now note, this is a prophecy, Israel, captivity issues, and they're in a dry place, and Yahweh is promising to come and save them. And that the dry place, the deserts will spring forth with water, and then he goes on talking about this highway. That definitely is a natural. Yahweh is definitely going to work in the natural. And one day, we have seen the blind eyes open, and we see when Yahshua walked the earth, he opened the eyes of the blind, he undeafed the deaf ears. He did his thing. But this is also for us to get on the highway. Yahweh came to save us. So when he came to save us, we have a promise of the blind. You were once blind, but now you see. The blind giving back their sight. Those that were deaf to the voice of Yahweh, are now can hear him. Okay? The parched ground, the dried up wilderness of our life, gushing forth with water and springing forth with life. And then he goes on again to talk about this highway that there is, not shall be, there is now a highway that the redeemed walk on. Because only the redeemed are on their way to heaven. See, only the redeemed. Because the highway doesn't exist. It's a figment of everybody else's imagination. It only becomes a reality to the redeemed. The redeemed see a new destination, and they see this highway, and they get on it. In Isaiah 35:8, it is here called the highway of holiness, the way both of holy worship and a holy conversation. So again, these are ways for us to tell whether or not we're on the right highway. It's about self-examination, because when I know what can be on the highway, and that's all that can be on the highway, if that isn't me, I'm not on the highway. I'm not putting you on the road to hell. I'm putting you possibly on an exit. Those can be gotten off of, and you can re-enter back onto the highway of heaven. Holiness is the rectitude of the human nature and will in conformity to the divine nature and will. Now, rectitude means exact conformity to truth or to the rules prescribed for moral conduct, either by divine or human laws. Forget the human laws, only by divine. Okay, so holiness is our taking our human nature and will and exactly conforming it to the truth of Yahweh, conforming to his divine nature and will. The way of holiness is that course of laws or duties in which men ought to walk and press forward with an eye to the glory of Yahweh and their own felicity, intense happiness. So your eye is on Yahweh, but it's also on that your intense happiness in the enjoyment of him. See, having a relationship with Yahweh, being in his presence, should give you an intense enjoyment. It shouldn't be like, when somebody says, well, let's go to so-and-so. I don't really want to go there. When somebody says, come and go with me to the house of Yahweh, there should be an excitement, a joy, not a little, but an intense. I want to go into the house of Yahweh. I want to enter into the presence of Yahweh. I want to hear what Yahweh has to say. I want to commune with the saints of Yahweh and see what Yahweh's been doing in their life. This is why David said, come. And he's talking about when I'm going to the temple, he's going to tell everybody the wonderful things of Yahweh. That's testimony. He's talking about testimony. I'm going to go into the sanctuary and give a testimony because Yah have been good to me. And he's excited to tell it. He's excited to tell it. When our God saves us, he chalks out to us this way by his gospel, so as it had never been before described. People will tell you how to get to heaven and tell you which way to go and how to get on the highway to heaven, but it's a little murky. When you receive Yah and he saves you, he chalks it out very plainly as though it had never been described to you before. The Bible is the roadmap. The word of Yahweh is going to tell you how to get on the highway, how to stay on the highway and reach your destination. And it's going to tell you about your destination. Encourage you to stir up the excitement of the destination. We don't think enough about the destination. We're too busy trying to get through today. But in order to get through today, you need to remember what is the destination, what it's all for, what's the purpose. It is an appointed way, not a way of sufferance. And that doesn't mean suffering. It means absent of objection rather than genuine approval, tolerance. You're not coming this way. You didn't get on the highway because Yahweh decided to be tolerant of you. And you didn't sneak on and he didn't object, so you're there. It's by genuine approval. He has approved you to be there. He has said yes. An invitation was made for you to come aboard the highway that only the redeemed walk on. But a highway, a way into which we are directed by a divine authority and in which we are protected by a divine warrant. We got AAA. You break down, you got rescue coming. We got AAA. It is the King's Highway, the King of Kings Highway, in which though we may be waylaid, that's the rest stop, we cannot be stopped. Jeremiah 6:16 says, "Thus says Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein. And ye shall find rest for your souls. The way of holiness is the way of Yah's commandments. It is the good old way." You used to sing that song. Give me that old time religion. You know, old time, the way they used to do it. Not today. Not today. That's what I meant by sometimes we need to step back and remember the saints of old, scripturally, and those saints that have been physically in our presence that press through. It shall be an appropriate way, the way in which Yahweh will bring his own chosen to himself. The only way to get to him is to come by way this road. But the unclean shall not pass over it, either to defile it or to disturb those that walk in it. If you are disturbed, it's because you're on an exit. I'm not putting you on the road to hell. It is a way by itself, distinguished from the way of the world. For it is a way of separation from and non-conformity to this world. Sanctification. Psalms 4:3 says, "But know that Yahweh hath set apart him that is godly for himself." Yah hath set apart the righteous, the sanctified for himself. You know that Yah is our inheritance. He hath set us apart for himself. Yahweh will hear when I call unto him. Why? Because I am his. I am his. It shall be for those whom Yahweh has set apart for himself, shall be reserved for them. The redeemed shall walk there. And the sanctification they take in these ways of pleasantness shall be out of the reach of the persistent, aggressive, pestering, or harassing manner from the evil world. You're out of the reach. That doesn't mean they're not on the side of the road trying to get you to take an exit. They're on the side of the road. They're not on the road. Because Yah said only the redeemed. Only the redeemed. It's a safe way. But it does not mean that they are not on the side of the road, beckoning you to exit. Now, granted, they're not flashing the pitfalls. They're flashing, the things that appeal to your flesh. Success, money, favor, those types of things that you can get if you take the exit. The unclean shall not pass over it, for it shall be a fair way. Those that walk in it are the undefiled in the way, who escape the pollution that is in the world. Again, sanctification. It shall be a straight way. Now, when we talk about straight, which is what Matthew said about the straight gate, the straight path, the straight, he's not talking about something that doesn't have twists and curves, but it's a direct way. Like when you get on this, you don't got to turn right in 6.5 miles, veer off, get onto this route. You'll be on this route for 3.9 miles, and then take exit 59, and then it's direct. It's a direct highway to him. There's no lefts, turns, ups and downs. It's direct. So it doesn't mean it doesn't have twists and curves. It means that one path, once you're on it, stay on it, you're going to heaven. You're going to the kingdom of Yahweh. The wayfaring men who choose to travel in it shall have such plain directions from the word and the spirit of Yahweh in this way that they shall not err therein. So you need to be in the road map. Now, granted, technology kind of has. We got, our Jamaican woman giving us directions on our GPSs. How many have not gotten to their destination because she didn't know about some detour on the road, or she starts talking to you too soon? It says turn left, and you turn left, but she meant the left in the next block, right? So she's not very reliable. Okay, she's just not. Or MapQuest, and you printed that map 6 months ago. Now that road is closed, and now you're stuck trying to figure out what to do. Pull out the nice, good old map. Reliable. Exactly. You got to know how to read it too. Right? And it has some problems if you don't know how to read a map. Same thing with the word. Lots of people read the Bible, but they're not on a highway to heaven. They may think they're on. Remember, are you sure you're on the right road to heaven? Are you sure you're on the right road to heaven? Not that they shall be infallible, even in their own conduct, or that they shall in nothing mistake, but they shall not be guilty of any fatal misconduct, shall not so miss their way, but they shall recover it again. In other words, we're not perfect. Going to make mistakes in our own conduct, but it's not fatal. Remember, we got AAA. It's not fatal. And so we recover. We get turned around. We took an exit, and it's like, oh, I didn't mean to get off. And so I fix it to get back on. I'm able to recover it again and get well to their journey's end. Those that are in the narrow way, though some may fall into one path and others into another, not all equally right, but all meeting at last in the same end. In other words, we may fall at different falters, but with Yah, guiding and getting us back on track. And he said, we're not all equally right. We're all wrong. But all meeting at the last in the same end shall yet never fall on into the broad way again, the road to hell. So we may stumble, we may find ourselves on exits, but we must not go back to the broad way again. The Spirit of truth shall lead them into all truth that is necessary for them. When I get off an exit and I'm finding out this is not the way I'm meant to go, the Spirit of Yahweh will lead you to how to get back onto the road to heaven. And it starts with repentance. Note, the way to heaven is a plain way and easy to hit. Like Yahweh didn't hide it. We might not see it, but it's not hid. It's plain and easy to hit. Yah has chosen the foolish things of the world and made them wise to salvation. Knowledge is easy to him that understands. Y'all follow me, right? So you get the understanding, and knowledge is easy. The knowledge is easy. It shall be a safe way. Trip away. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast. None to hurt or destroy. Those that keep close to this way keep out of the reach of Satan, the roaring lion. That wicked one touches them not. Hear that. Those that keep close to this way, stay well on the highway. You will be out of the reach of the roaring lion. Okay? Doesn't mean the roaring lion isn't on the side of the road, trying to get you to stop and take an exit. 1 John 5:18 says, we know that whosoever is born of Yah sins not, but he that is begotten of Yah keeps himself, and that wicked one touches him not. It's talking about you're not practicing sin. If you're of Yahweh, you don't practice sin. You don't intend to fall into sin. You're guarding yourself the best that you can, but sometimes, because our flesh is weak, or we didn't adhere to the word of Yahweh or to the counsel, or whatever the reason is, or I got distracted. And, like I said, sometimes those exits are straight. And you find yourself like, this is not where I want to be. Those that walk in the way of holiness may proceed with a holy security and serenity of mind, knowing that nothing can do them any real hurt. They shall be quiet from the fear of evil. When you stay on this path, even though there are things on the side of the road, even though you may get caught on an exit, even though maybe you take that exit all the way to the highway to hell, there's still exits on that road that you can get off. But Yahweh has promised us a security. A security. I'm not talking about once saved, always saved. I'm talking about Yahweh loves you. And when you err, he will come after you. He is the shepherd that leaves the 99 and goes after the one. You have to know that Yahweh loves you. Now that's Yahweh tells us to test him with our tithes, but he did not say to test him with your soul. So don't be playing around thinking that Yahweh going to chase after you and because you never know. Them people drive on the highway, they never intended to have an accident. And if you are fatally destroyed on the highway to hell, guess where you're ending up? There must be a new heart and a new spirit, and old things must pass away. All that is saying is you have a new desired destination, like desire it within you. Yahweh puts this in your heart that you want him. So that's your new heart, a new focus, a new desire. And the Spirit, his Spirit, only leads you into the things of Yahweh. So the old things are going to pass away when you follow this. The bent of the soul must be changed, corrupt habits and customs broken off. You cannot get to the destination of heaven taking some other way or shortcut. There is none. There is none. I love driving with my sons. We take shortcuts. We've only been lost kind of once. Mark was with us. Really had no. Part of the reason we didn't know where we were was it was dark. So guess what? In the world, it's dark. It's dark. So we were like, driving around. It's like I've never been lost because it's kind of hard to get lost, at least here, because all roads connect. So if I keep going, eventually I'm going to connect to something I know. You know. But this is not the case with the highway to heaven. It's the case of the highway to hell, but not the case of the highway to heaven. Need you to know that, again, these exits are distractions. So when I thought about that, those who know me, I have Sister Denise, I can find a song for anything. So while I was doing this, trying to get this message together in my head, there's a highway to glory. I didn't want that song because I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know, I might have to think hard about this song. It kind of thinks like there's no trouble. You get on that highway and it's smooth. And I'm like, that's not necessarily the case. It is spiritually. Like spiritually, our walk is smooth and easy. The bumps affect our flesh. They affects our flesh. The dips and the bends and the potholes of life. But there's this one song, and I ain't even going to confess that this will be my closing. We'll see. The second verse of this song, and the name of the song is called Distraction. Okay. So the second verse is, there's a man who's out there waiting on the highway to heaven. Now, from everything we did right there, he got to fix that because he's not on the highway to heaven. But he's on the side of the road, right? He looks like an angel of light, all fun and games, such a deadly combination. Put the pedal to the metal and don't slow down. Don't give into his temptation. Don't you lose your soul because of distraction. Distraction. All that glitters is not gold. Distraction. He's trying to steal your very soul. Distraction. He's really not your friend. You'll be sorry if you hang with him. Distraction. Trying to get you off the track. Distraction. Trying to get you to turn your back. Distraction. Don't you listen. Don't be fooled. Time is precious, more precious than gold. Spend it wisely. Don't be fooled, or you could lose your soul. Stop. Don't you walk that way. Don't you take that road. Don't even look that way. Don't walk that way. Don't take that road. Don't even look. The lust of the eye. We looked, and then we can't get it out of our head. I'll take the next exit. You know, I'm like, come on, now I don't drive because I don't like to drive. But I've been on the road. Y'all drive. You're on the road, and you're hungry. Now I'm talking about traveling on the road, not neighborhood. And bam, there's that sign, but you're not prepared to make that exit because it's too soon. So now you put everybody in the car on road duty. Watch for the sign. And then they start coming up, and then it's like McDonald's, Wendy's. Nah, we don't want that. And then you got to keep going down the road till you. See, when you see something that you want, oh, we should go there. There'll be another one down the road. And so you don't fret. You don't try to get off and turn around. You just look for the next one. So when you see something that distracts you, you might not get off right then, but if you looked and it got into your head, yeah, I want to do that, it's going to come up again down the road. And you'll just veer off. I'll only be a moment. He's trying to steal your soul. So don't even look that way. It is a highway, but it's a highway to heaven. We need to learn how to stay on it. Recognize when we've gotten off on an exit. Again, I refuse to put any of you all back on the road to hell. But that don't mean you can't end up there. Recognize if you're on an exit. Get back on the road. If your goal isn't the destination, which is to see Yahweh face to face, he's only in one place. I mean, he's omnipresent, but he is in one place. And there's that place that we must go to. We must go to that place. I have a picture of the tabernacle and the fire of Yahweh. My granddaughter says to me, "Is that a volcano?" I'm like, "No, that's a pillar of fire." And she's like, I said, "That's Yahweh looking like a pillar of fire." You know, but she looked at it and thought it was a volcano. He is a consuming fire. He is a consuming fire. He is. And you shouldn't play with fire. Shouldn't play with fire. I like National Geo, yes. And there was volcanists. Those are people who study volcanoes, not Star Trek Vulcans. And I'm watching this video as they're studying volcanoes. And they got a little too close, these two. And, you know, it's not like a movie where they're going to try to be graphic about it. You just know from the way the speaking goes on that they were gone because they got a little too close. They didn't maintain a reverence for the volcano. We must maintain a reverence for the all-consuming fire. Not in fear that I don't want to go there, but in fear that drives me there. Fear of the world, that it could steal my soul, and that I choose life. I choose life. The choice, scripturally, multiple places, you choose life or death. Yahweh's offered it to you. He's offered you life, but you got to make the choice. You got to make the choice. Stop playing on the road. Again, a rest stop necessary. Okay. Don't take an exit, because you might end up back on the road to hell. And because there is a way that seems right unto a man, you might not even know it.